I found a love for me. Well, darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me.
Tender love, love so tender. All the tender love you give it to me.
When I first moved out to Texas from California, one of my good friends, Darrell, told me that I need to check out this website called Tinder. And for those who don't know, Tinder, is a dating website where you put your picture out there, and then if you like a picture, you'll swipe right. If you don't like what you see, you swipe left.
One day, I decided to just start swiping left, swiping right. And I was actually at my shop, and I came across his profile, and one of my dear clients, Missy Lane, I was like, Missy Lane, what you think about him? She was like, oh, he's cute. You should swipe right. So I swiped right.
So I saw Canitra's picture. She had about 4 or 5 of them up there, and their little outfits, I'm sorry. I swiped right, and we exchanged a few little text messages, and we kind of connected that way.
We had conversation, and it was a really, really good conversation. It was like some of the stuff that we were talking about, it felt like I was talking to myself. Like, we had great dialogue, talking about God, talking about family, talking about past relationships. And that one day, being on the phone with him, like, I just realized he was a really good guy.
And when you talk on the phone with a person for a long time at night who's as country as she is, you have a hard time hearing. So fighting through all that, it was actually a good conversation. She told me a lot about herself. I emptied out myself and told her my story and where I was in life. And yeah, it was a nice little connection from that.
Scared to death that she might be it, that the love is real, that the shoe might fit. She might just be my everything to be on.
One time we met, and I think this might have been our first one-on-one encounter, but it really wasn't a one-on-one because he brought his uncle as a third wheel.
My uncle was out here, and we were hanging out, and we needed something to do. I actually hit her up via text. And she was like, yeah, I'll come out. And so she came over, introduced herself.
His uncle was kind of, my nephew, like hyping him up. And I'm just thinking, you telling me about your nephew? He's just my friend.
We went and got a table. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, about to, have a nice little conversation. She whips out her laptop and begins to start working.
I find myself sometimes being rude because I'm all about work mode. Like, at this point in time in my life, I was so focused on Canitra. I wasn't really looking at, I'm trying to date somebody.
Really didn't go according to plan. It was just me watching her delete emails. And so we exchanged a few text messages. I let her know that, I was looking for a barber. And she actually linked me to the guy who currently cuts my hair now, a guy by the name of Ozine. They were in the same shop, so whenever I go get a cut from Ozine, I would stop by her shop, and that actually led up to our next outing.
He'll come by the barbershop and be like, you want to go out to eat? I'm saying, yeah. Of course, I'm not going to pass a free meal. I
began looking at the menu, and I see her whip out the laptop again. She's just working the whole time. I'm eating my little salmon, and she just, making calls and working on her laptop, kind of playing me for the food. This time, I'm like, okay, she got me on her phone as boo-boo the food or something like that, or got me on her phone as free meal or something to that nature.
I looked at him as being like a really good friend, but then I saw I would have to retract and apologize because, like, we'll go out to eat at a restaurant and I'm working the whole time, just being rude. So it kind of looked like I done took advantage of him just for a free meal, but it wasn't anything like that.
After I left that encounter, I was just like, okay, on to the next one. She must not be feeling me, etc., etc. So now I'm just like, I'm cool.
It was a time where Darrell had sent me flowers. He'll have like these little notes like, I hope that this catapults your week, you know, like little nice things like that. So one of my clients, which is a good friend of mine, she asked me one day, she was like, where did you get these flowers from? I'm like, this guy named Darrell. She said, where is he from? I said, California. She said, well, what kind of car does he drive? I was like, this little silver Honda. She was like, girl, craziest thing. One time, and this is like across town. She was like, one time I got a flat and this guy pulled over to help me or whatever.
I see this damsel in distress. I see this lady with a flat tire, and she was pulled into, you know, our work parking lot. And so, you know, I told her, like, you know, I don't want to see a lady in distress, you know, something slick. And so I followed her to the gas station. And so long story short, I ended up, you know, taking down her number and letting her know, you know, just hit me up just to let me know that you've made it home safely, et cetera, et cetera. May have invited her out for a drink. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
She asked me, she was like, so why aren't you dating him? She said, because if I didn't have a boyfriend, I would have gave him my number. So on Thanksgiving, I remember giving him a phone call to let him know. I'm like, hey,
you know, you helped one of my clients. That must have, you know, triggered something in Canitra's mind because, you know, number one, she never calls me. Number two, I think she saw, you know, brother's heart and was, you know, blinded by the charm, you know what I mean?
That lingered with me because I'm like, what if he is this good guy? My friend could have had him. I would have missed out, you know?
So, you know, we ended up going to the movies. We saw this movie called Hidden Figures.
The movie was good. And after Hidden Figures, he dropped me off. But before he dropped me off, we were in a car. I think we stayed in a car for maybe like an hour or 2 hours just talking.
Canitra and I, we were, you know, having another one of our long discussions, you know, just continuing to learn each other.
It was a part of the film, and the man said, whatever her name is, I'm gonna kiss you. So Darrell said,
Canitra, I'm going to kiss you right now. And she just bust up laughing. You know, just one of those awkward laughs, just like one of them, you know, trying to play it, brother, again.
And I just started laughing because I was like freaking out because I'm like, is this for real? Is he for real?
It was cool though, you know, I didn't mind. I shot my shot, I airballed, whatever. It's all good. You know, you just go to the next play.
I get nervous. I kind of like laugh. So, yeah, I really didn't know how I was going to go after that because in my head, I'm like, man, I probably made him feel like I rejected him because when he said that, I laughed because I didn't know if he was for real, but then I wasn't expecting it.
Anyhow, so fast forward to February 22nd, which is my birthday.
I know he's not one to really just celebrate or be celebrated or whatever. So I decided to take him out for his birthday.
Dinner was cool. We ended up going back to my place. She ended up dropping me off at my place. And so I remember from the last time that I wasn't going to, you know, I wasn't shooting no shots this time. This time I was just going to take an L, go upstairs, say my prayers and go to bed.
I actually went in for the kiss.
Before I could reach for the handle, she tells me, kiss me. Like she demanded it, like kiss me. I'm like, oh, you got to tell me twice.
I caught him by surprise because like we were talking and then I think I might have just pulled his face or did something, but I was the aggressor in that situation.
I remember it so vividly because, you know, I didn't really walk away smooth on that one. You know what I mean? And I was reaching for my doggy bag and fumbling and, you know, fumbling out the car, but, you know, it was cool.
This is all that I see. I give you everything. Baby, love me like so. Baby, love me like so.
We continued to see each other, you know, go out on periodic dates. We actually took a trip to Austin.
I didn't really know what to expect, and it was so crazy because at first I was thinking like, I don't know about this guy. Is he gonna be fun? But during that trip, we had such a good time.
It turned out to be a really good time because we spent a lot of good quality time where, spending the whole day together and, walking around, seeing the city. And so we had, a lot of good conversations about, what we're looking for in relationships and what we're looking to establish. It was good.
He was asking me, he's like, so do you think we're still out, are we still in the friend zone or whatever? And I'm like, nah, we're a little bit outside the friend zone. And then I just had to ask him, I'm like, okay, so what is it that you want? I'm like, do you want to be married again? Do you want more kids? And he made a comment. He was like, well, it'll be a while before I get married and I really don't know about kids. And I had to stop him. I said, and see, that's the thing with me, because I'm like, my next boyfriend is gonna be my husband. If we just hanging out, we hanging out. But if it's something serious, then it's gonna grow.
We gradually started, spending more time together, but it didn't happen automatically. She had this Murano that kept breaking down, right? And so, I offered to take her car to the shop. I took it to my mechanic, and they fixed it but didn't fix it.
I honestly think that he was sabotaging my car, because it was probably 2 weeks straight that my car wasn't working, and then that 2 weeks straight we started spending more and more time together, and that's where it really changed for me.
Yeah, it kind of forced us to spend more time together and continue to get to know each other, and that put us in a phase where, okay, let's see where this goes.
Everything happens for a reason, and during that time of my life, God made me be still. And during that time of being still, I actually got to know Darrell for who he was. And during that time, I realized that I really do like this guy. And when I really just start evaluating everything, it's like I say I want X, Y, Z in a guy, and he was right in front of me.
We still weren't together. I mean, we weren't girlfriend and boyfriend at the time. We were just kicking it. But probably unbeknownst to her, I done cleaned out my phone. I done cleaned out my phone because in my mind, like, yeah, she's it. She the one. And if she ain't the one, she the prototype.
We've been talking about marriage for a very long time.
I had decided long ago that I was going to propose. Don't ever take a woman to a wedding.
On September 29th, we went to one of our friends' wedding. As we were walking out, he was like, but I think that we could pull this New Year's Eve date off. And I'm like, are you for real? And he said, yeah. I'm like, well, you haven't proposed to me. I don't have a ring. And we need to start planning.
We always planned to do the New Year's thing or whatever. We wanted that date. Well, now she just needed confirmation to move forward. So I'm like, hey, plan it. I'll be there. I'll show up. And so they were planning the wedding, but she hadn't received a proposal yet.
I feel weird a little bit because he hadn't proposed. So I'm like, I'm just looking like the crazy lady out here that's just planning a wedding and not even proposed to.
I call her dad, right? I call her dad and I tell her dad, like, hey, I want to marry your daughter. Are you cool with that? So of course he was cool with it.
And we always do our date night, Sunday night, date night or whatever. So we drop the kids off. We're going to a restaurant.
We head to the restaurant Ruth Chris, and I'm telling all her friends, like, hey, I'm just going to put it on Facebook Live, so make sure you tune in.
We're talking about wedding stuff. We're just talking about everything. It was so crazy because I'm like, if we were to ever take engagement photos, I'll be the only one taking engagement photos without showing my ring because I don't have a ring. That was like some of the stuff that I was giving them.
And then I noticed when we get in the restaurant, I'm like, hey, where's your phone? This woman done left her phone in the car. So I'm like, oh man, now I got to, improvise or whatever. I can't do it on my live. So I tell her, like, no, this macaroni ain't really feeling too right. So I'm gonna go to the restroom and I'll be back in a minute.
So my first response is, you got a boo-boo? Wait, but that's what I really said.
So I leave, I run to my car, I grab her phone, I grab the receptionist at the front desk. I'm like, look, I need you to follow me with the camera You know, I'm about to propose to the woman that I love.
As I'm just sitting there eating my dessert or whatever, the next thing I know, I see this lady coming or whatever, like with the little camera, but I'm still not paying attention. And the next thing I know, he's like, come on. And I'm like, we finna leave. We didn't even pay for the check or anything. And then he like set me down.
You know, I get down, do the whole one knee, you know, looking all suave. Thank God there was no volume because I was fumbling my words.
I don't even know the words that was coming out of his mouth. I'm like smiling, just like, is this really happening? And then the crazy thing about it too, you'll notice in the video, he didn't put the ring on my finger.
I actually forgot to put the ring on her finger. She told me put the ring on my finger. So other than that, I thought it was, you know, nice little proposal.
So yeah, he did a good job.
I'm good.
Looking at our future, I say the sky's the limit. Like, I was good by myself, but I believe we're a force when we're together.
What I'm looking forward to with our marriage and going forward in the future is just, you know, the companionship and the partnership and growing in all those aspects of the relationship.
I see amazing, like spiritually, mentally, just like everything, like raising a family together, supporting one another.
I enjoy the fact that we're able to pray together and we're able to be transparent with one another. And I look at where I was individually versus where I am now and the happiness that I experience with Canitra now. I can't do nothing but, number one, praise God for where I am now and the individual that I am now.
He's a provider, he's a motivator, he's a loving person just in general. I was gonna say a loving husband. He's gonna be my loving husband. He loves his kids, he loves his family, he loves God, and what more can I ask for?
So in love, fighting against all odds, and I see my future in your eyes.